for today anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so last year when Donald Trump won the election, he made a number of policy promises. Now, a lot of these policy promises were criticized by Congress, policy experts, and even the media. But one policy promise that was not criticized, but rather championed by everyone, is his promise to end the outsourcing of U.S. manufacturing and bring back U.S. manufacturing jobs. Now, outsourcing is when U.S. firms send their jobs overseas for efficiency purposes. Now, contrary to popular belief, my proposition here today is that outsourcing positively impacts the global economy. Now, I have three reasons for this that support this claim. The first reason is that outsourcing benefits U.S. companies. Now, you see, when U.S. companies farm out their operations overseas, they're able to acquire goods at a lower cost, raw materials. They're also able to hire cheaper labor. This in turn allows them to sell goods at a lower price and increase their profits. And when they increase their profits, they don't just sit with this money in the bank. They actually they invested in innovation, research development, marketing, and sales. For example, we see that Delta Airlines reportedly in 2003 sent 1,000 jobs to India. Now, because of that, they were able to save $25 million unlike previous years. Furthermore, the Institute for International Economic Study notes that globalization of computer manufacturing led to a 10 to 30% decrease in the prices of these goods. Which brings me to my second claim, which is that outsourcing benefits U.S. consumers. Since these prices were able to decrease, these goods were able to become more affordable and cheaper for consumers to purchase. Now, due to the lower price of goods, consumers are able to save their money, buy a wider range of these products, and we're also increasing the standard of living because of this. And contrary to public opinion, outsourcing doesn't have a negative impact on job market. See, U.S. consumers are also U.S. workers. And as workers, they're able to get more higher wage and high skilled job due to outsourcing. As I mentioned earlier, due to these profits from outsourcing, companies invest their money into other departments. And departments such as research development, product design, sales, and marketing demands for high-skilled, high-labor domestic jobs within the United States. Now, we see this through a Harvard University study that argues that the outsourcing of U.S. firms increases employment within the United States rather than less employment within the United States. To expand on this, the McKinsey consulting calculated that overall net U.S. income rises about 12 to 14% per dollar of outsourcing. Now, my third supporting claim is that foreign workers are also able to enter the global markets for U.S. goods as a result of outsourcing. You see, when companies go abroad to farm out their manufacturing processes, they demand a large workforce. This creates new jobs for foreign workers. And usually, while we think that these jobs are low-paying jobs to our standards, they're actually higher-paying jobs to developing country standards. And because of that, they're able to have job security, increase their standard of living, and become consumers in that market. And they're able to consume U.S. goods, which doesn't just benefit us, but also benefits them. Now, we see this through India. India is a perfect example of this. The National Center for Policy Analysis has reported that Indians are seeing rapid rise in their wages and standard of living due to U.S. jobs outsourced in India. To conclude, we see that while Donald Trump, the media, Congress, and public opinion have argued that outsourcing negatively impacts the U.S. economy and the global economy, we see that it not only benefits US companies, but it also benefits US consumers, US employment, and foreign workers as well, and foreign economies, which in total is the global economy. Thank you, that's it.
All right, I'm on the propositions identified. There's not a preview of what the supporting structure is going to be, and that's a problem. The controversy, I think you set that up pretty well with the support for a Trump policy being accepted widely, and then suggesting kind of the opposite position is really the valid way we should go. Now, in the body of the speech, you do have 3 supporting points that you do label in the course of the presentation, so that helps. And you usually have an elaborate explanation about how the economic systems are supposed to work, and a lot of minor claims under each of those points. That's where we start to run into an issue, because I think the sufficiency of the proof on these individual points is problematic. At best, in a couple of situations, you have examples that suggest that there may in fact be an impact, but sometimes it's a little bit nebulous. The example of Delta Airlines, for instance, well, I'm glad Delta saved $25 million, but if they did it at the expense of thousands of American jobs, that's going to be one of those things that people would say, why was that a good trade-off for us to make? The alternative is that I suppose that they hired a bunch of people in India who can now afford to fly on Delta Airlines, but all the people here who can't afford to fly anyplace because they're out of a job, they're going to be squawking about that. And so then you, in essence, say, on the second point, look, it's going to benefit us in the long run because you've got this whole chain of reasons that you give that suggest that it's going to lead to higher wages. How it's going to lead to higher wages to a lot of people is not explained. People who have low skills or who have been moved out of a job market that has been exported, so to speak. I guess your idea here is that's going to force them to go out and get skills, and then they're going to get the higher wage jobs, or we're not going to worry about them and we're just going to give higher wages to the people who are already well prepared. I'm not sure that that's a safe comparison to make. And again, I think that you don't have any evidence on this point. You mostly just kind of explain your proposition there, and I think you need to offer some grounds to believe it. And the third point, I think, would be helpful. You mentioned the rise of India as an increase in their wages, and I would like to see a concomitant increase in exports, for example, from the United States to India that would indicate that they were getting this trade-off that you're talking about, and I don't see any information on that. A couple of places you've got some data that gets only a partial citation, but there are good examples, like I said in the speech. You just need to be consistent about citing them. I thought you did a nice job presenting the ideas and explaining concepts. Proving them was a little bit thinner. All right, thank you. We're going to stop here and go to our qualifying exam, so you should put everything away except your number 2 pencils and your quiz strips, because that's where we're headed now.